فندک بیاریم. آقای الله بچه خوبین؟ همه خوبن؟ گردنم درد گرفت، یه تصویر عوض کنم. صدا پاکی نمیخوایم بگیرن اون کم کم نورا رو خاموش کنیم دیگه. صبح شد. فرشته اومدی از راه، چه خوبه یک یک دو صبح رو کنیم.
Everyone loves spreadsheets. Actually, they don't. But check this out. Okay, Monday.com, get started, import from spreadsheet, and... Holy shit! And no, this is not just a spreadsheet replacement. It's an easy way to build any solution you need for work. I said easy, no offense. Aww. And just in case you needed more reasons to ditch spreadsheets, you can build solutions such as these, and then collaborate with your team in the context of your work. You can save time with powerful automations and connect with any other work tool you use. So, Monday.com isn't a new type of spreadsheet, it's a new way to work. Without limits. Monday.com WorkOS. See what I'm talking about?
Hey everyone!
Wait, hold up there. I have to say something.
Wait, what?
You know, these bitches are living life on easy mode. Just flash their tits and all the Sims follow them. That right? I'm talking to you. You sexy cyborg. You're cheating at YouTube. You're using your boobs to hypnotize honest men who hate boobs and will not look at them if you weren't checking them into it, and that's just wrong. You have your boobs here and your tag here. You can't go mixing them together like peanut butter and jelly, like the bananas and ice cream. Boobs have to stay separate from everything else. If you have them, you can't go doing technical things while you have boobs. It's wrong and it's cheating.
Come on, we've all read comments like that, right? Naomi is cheating. Because we all know what an honest, respectable company YouTube is, right? They definitely follow and enforce their own rules fairly. No, of course they don't. I've got bad news for you buckaroos and buckarats. Life is not fair. Not for me, not for you, not for anyone. My dad taught me you are almost never going to be given fair without a fight. Not a fair wage, not a fair price, not a fair chance. You want fair? You make it fair. Conduct your own affairs with integrity. But remember, life is a dirty, rotten cheat. You give fair, you take fair. But never make the mistake of expecting someone is going to walk up out of the blue and just give you fair. Now my business is YouTube. And YouTube runs a business. Their job is to make money. Their job is not to be fair to you or I or anyone else. Sure, they can make money with me, but they can make money with lots of people. They have no incentive to send me traffic that they can send to someone safer, someone more presentable, someone that makes fewer people uncomfortable. Chinese lesbian with giant fake titties doing tech? Next, that is about as dicey a business model as it gets. Why risk it? Plenty of others can bring the same numbers I do with no controversy, no downside. The brilliant thing about YouTube is they've been able to successfully transfer all the accountability for a business model that picks winners and losers onto software. Oh, it's not us, it's the algorithm. And people who don't have a background in software development or machine learning generally believe it, as if YouTube doesn't have absolute 100% granular control over the software that runs their multi-billion-dollar business. It has a mind of its own. You will see people who absolutely tie themselves in knots to defend YouTube, explain policy, and attribute complex motivations to the fairly simple software that YouTube uses to help run its business. These are the same people who think cops aren't allowed to lie to you. They actually think YouTube can lie for some reason. Corporations are not your friends. They are not honest. They lie. They get caught lying all the time and go on lying. YouTube curates and lies about it because business is business, but people still defend them. Technically, it's manifestation of the judge role fallacy and it's a powerful cognitive bias. And I know folks in the comments are going to do that again. We really want to believe in a fair world that if something happens, you must have done something to make that happen. But the reality is, YouTube is a content business like Netflix. And part of that business is picking what content is going to be presented front and center to your audience as representative of your brand. It's trivial to tweak account settings of larger accounts so they're seen less and their reels plateau, and other accounts that have less potential for controversy while still bringing in the same income showing up more often. And I'm going to show you what
This is Fred. Fred works in IT and doesn't have a Terra. Fred is flooded.
It's hard to believe that only a week ago, Luna was one of the top cryptocurrencies with billions of dollars flowing into it, and all it took was one market downturn to turn this golden token into digital toilet paper. I mean, in 1 week, Luna has gone from $80 a token to less than $1. This chart is just hard to look at, I'm warning you. It reminds me of BitConnect. Not to mention, UST, their stablecoin, is still depegged. And at this point, I think it's safe to say it's over for Terraform Labs. There's simply no way to reestablish the trust that algorithmic stablecoins need. I mean, after all, who wants an unstable stablecoin? So today, we're going to try to explain what happened and tell the story of why I think this collapse was predictable. By that, I mean it was literally predicted. There was a $20 million bet about this. And I'm also going to be honest with you about what we don't know as well. Because before we move further, let me say loud and clear. As of right now, no one knows the true culprit for this crash. So far, I've counted 4 different and unique threads going viral, all claiming to know how Luna collapsed, and the explanation is slightly different each time. But what is consistent is their proof is, trust me, bro. In fact, my personal favorite of these explanations is the theory that Citadel, who's the GameStop supervillain, secretly gotten a 100,000 Bitcoin loan from Gemini, which is owned by the Winkle twins, and they destroyed Luna with it. Now, Gemini denied these claims, but who are you going to believe? A private company or an anonymous 4chan post? Kind of a toss-up, right? And I'm not even saying these are wrong. They just don't have any evidence. So that's where it stands with this forensic side of things. A lot of people claim to have solved it, but nobody seems to actually have done so. But while we don't know exactly what happened, I think it's important to say this crash also didn't surprise anyone. And I think that's worth talking about. There were a lot of people who have been calling for this for some time, and these were mostly for 2 reasons, which we've already discussed. UST was built on a Ponzi scheme, and algo stablecoins have sort of always failed, and we've covered those. But there's a third option that I really think has been overlooked in all this, and that is Do Kwon's role. Remember that Do Kwon is the creator of Terraform Labs. And what most people don't know is that as Luna became more and more successful, Do Kwon slowly became more and more arrogant. He would dismiss all his critics and call them poor. And I believe this played a role, at least, in so many people rooting for Luna's downfall, if not actively playing a role in it. As I said, we don't know if Luna's demise was like an attack or naturally occurring, but I want to give you some examples of this because I think we can learn from it about sort of what not to do if you suddenly happen to become ultra rich and powerful. So on November 25th, 2021, a guy named Freddie Reynolds proposed a theory of how you could crash Luna with a Soros-style Black Wednesday attack. By that, he's referring to when George Soros broke the British pound. And he goes into great detail about how you could do this if you just had $1 billion on hand. He described a process where you could make $50 million and sort of rinse and repeat it until Luna falls apart. Now, in response to this possible attack vector, does Luna investigate? Does it implement strategies to defend itself. No. Instead, Do Kwon says this, probably the most thread I've read this decade. Silence is a perfectly acceptable option if stupid. And then basically he asks sort of to be attacked. He says, billionaires in my following, go ahead, see what happens. I mean, can you imagine the arrogance to taunt billionaires that are following you and going like, yeah, see what happens. Go ahead, attack me, see what happens. Now, look, I know the internet's kind of a wild place, but I usually think there are two rules to it that you have to abide by at all times. One, don't ever taunt the internet. And two, don't ever taunt billionaires. And you certainly don't want to do both at the same time. But this kind of arrogant response wasn't even an irregular occurrence. Rather than engaging with flaws in his protocol, Do Kwon would repeatedly call his critics poor. In fact, a few days before Luna collapsed, Do Kwon said that if you listen to crypto influencers about USTD pegging for the 69th time, or you could remember that they're all poor now and go for a run instead. And he repeatedly did this. He also taunted this guy, Algod Trading, who said, if Luna breaks new all-time highs, I will short it with size. And Do Kwon responds, yeah, but your size is not size. This guy responds, statistically, you're dunking on 99% of your community, but all right, someday your Ponzi will collapse. You can't keep fueling Anchor. And this is my favorite part of the story because that same guy then responds 4 days later, offering a $1 million bet that Luna will be at a lower price in exactly 1 year. Now, what does Do Kwon do? He takes it. Of course, he takes the bait. He says, cool, I'm in. And I guess that got enough attention because someone noticed it and decided that they actually wanted to raise the stakes. GCR on Twitter decides to offer a $10 million bet. Do Kwon once again agrees, and they decide on the escrow being another crypto Twitter user, Kobe. And so right now at this address, which we will put on screen, there's currently a $10 million bet going on the blockchain. This is real money we're talking about, literally just put up to see if Luna's going to fall or not, which obviously 2 months later it did. But even that wasn't enough for GCR, who at the time decides he wants to double the bet, saying the initial spirit of it was this like, yeah, your size is not size, whatever, like kind of a weird insult. Weird way to say you're poor, basically. And so he says, look, we're going to play for big money. I'll double it to $20 million, to which Do Kwon doesn't respond. And so instead, what this guy does is he decides he's going to short Luna with the remaining $10 million that he wanted to bet him with. Now, for those of you following along at home, this is what we call a Chad move. This guy would end up cashing out with $16 to $20 million profit, and it shows how much Do Kwon pissed everyone off, not just the, quote, poor people, but actually the richest part of crypto Twitter. Remember, he literally asked billionaires to attack his protocol. And to make it even worse, he also began attacking other competitors around this time, saying about stablecoins like DAI, by my hand, DAI will die. And it was sort of this unique combination of arrogance, antagonism, and disregard for criticism that contributed either directly or indirectly to Luna's collapse. People don't like a sore winner, and it's fair to say that Do Kwon had to learn that lesson the hard way. My point with sharing this isn't to suggest that the only reason Luna collapsed is because this guy is kind of a jerk. Because remember, they were basically running a Ponzi scheme. But being a jerk, along with sort of running and benefiting from a Ponzi scheme, definitely doesn't help. And the other bit of news we learned in all of this is that CoinDesk reported that Do Kwon was secretly behind a failed stablecoin in the past called Basis Cash. He turned out to be anonymously involved, going by the pseudonym Rick, and his partner was called Morty. According to CoinDesk, he modeled the project after an earlier project called Basis, which you may or may not remember as the failed project of founder Nader Al-Naji, the creator of BitClout. So that's where we are with this story. A lot has come out, and while I hold very little sympathy for Do Kwon's failure, I do feel bad for all the traders who got swept up in it. For example, KSI claimed to have bought 100,000 Luna, claiming it could be the, quote, best or worst trade of my life. He later says he spent $2.8 million buying the dip, and that his Luna was now worth $1,000. Ouch. And that's not even to mention the regular investors who don't have millions to spare. I mean, I cannot stress this enough. Billions of dollars have been wiped out overnight. Like, Reddit communities are being makeshifted from supporters into support groups. Like, I don't want to show you guys too much of this because it is dark. Some investors lost houses, others lost life savings, and that's truly sad. But we can't forget about the painful lessons things like Luna can teach us. In this case, it's sort of three things. Don't taunt internet billionaires, don't build Ponzi schemes, and beware algo stablecoins. That's basically it. Pump the stock, and I'll see you in the next one.
خب یه سه تا چیز انگولک نکنیم. بیلیونرها رو اینترنت رو و اینکه الگوریتم استیبل کوین رو بدیم.
Everyone loves spreadsheets. Actually, they don't. But check this out. Okay, Monday.com.
Society
سلام پارسا. نه اصلا موقع خوبی نیست. اگه بیشتر از 10 سال ترید میکنی نه این کار رو. اتفاقا دارم باد میکنم کوین کامل کالاپس شد. ولی بیتکوین سیفه. بیتکوین میریزه برمیگرده. بیتکوین در من رو والیوم مارکت اومدم. چه زدم خب صدا خودم خیلی زیاد شد. ببین الان اینا خیلی خطرناکه. از شبکش کلاپس شده. برای همین کار ترسناکیه. باید یه سودی بگیری بیای بیرون بالا سرش باشی. من که با بات ترید میکنم. اگه داری میبینی دیگه چون اصلا سیف نیست دستی. ما یه بتل پس کالاف بکشیم امروز تو این بیرون. باید 2-3 تا گان لجند بس فکر کنم زیاده برای یه روز. ببین همیشه توی بازار سرمایه با دلار حساب کن. تو میگی 19 تومن، من نمیدونم چقدر خرید دلار. توی دلار به ریال نوسانش از بیت کوین به یو اس دی بالاتره. برای همین همیشه دلاری حساب کن. مثلا بگو روی 40 سنت خریدم الان مثلا شد 30 سنت. ریپل میاد بالا برمیگردن اینا. ولی کلا پروف آف استیک شبکه‌های امنی نیست. هیچی پشتش نیست. یه مش سرور وصل کردن من دیگه اسم گذاشتم روش. دامپی هم بابا. والیومش خیلی اومد پایین نسبت به دیروز بایروز. اصلا واسه هولد الان بیت کوین خوبه، ارگو خوبه، مونرو خوبه، ریپل، کاردانو اینا. دوج کوین با اینکه مسخره است ولی دیگه ثروتمندترین آدم دنیا پشتش میره بالا 100%. اوه پام پا دیدی؟ اینجا مارکت خسته کرده مردم و قشنگ معلومه این روند ریزشی گرفته. ملت خسته شدن اینجا دیگه. یارو امیدش از دست داده، سل کرده رفته بیرون، بعد دیوسا اومدن نشستن داره مارکت پامپ میکنه. قشنگ برعکس سل اینا رو میزنن، لیکویدشون میکنن، بعد که لیکوید شدن دوباره میاد. آره ترید لحظه ایه دیگه. الان به این ترید لحظه ایه میگن اسکالپ. حالا من برام مهمه که مثبت ببندم. بعضی وقتا 5 دقیقه $10 سود میگیره، بعضی وقتا یه 700-800 باید باز بمونه تا منفیت بپر. کندلی زدیم. با باته نشتین زیر این قیمت بره بریزه تا 11 پول من یهو $400 میریزه. وایلیتی این کوین رو ببین 50%. بستگی به سناریویی داره که میچینی. این سناریوی من الان خیلی واید رنج نسبت به این یکی، همین بالا سرش. GMT یک دامپی بشه استفن، یک دامپی بشه علکی داره مارکت کپ میگه. ای پول هیرو زور اومد بالا. جبهی دلوش سولی